like it's kind of difficult sometimes because drawing was my hobby, my biggest interest outside of work for like 30 some years until it became my job. So I still think like my biggest interest is drawing, although it's my work too, but I still do it for fun. And I love movies, but I really don't have a lot of time to see it. And so unfortunately, I don't watch a lot of movies, but every time I watch movies, I'm like, wow, I have to see more because it's so interesting and stimulate my brain and heart. But I'm in New York, so there are lots and lots of museums and galleries. And galleries, you just walk to the gallery area and I don't have to pay a penny. And you just walk in and see the latest art. So I do that, whenever I have time. And I'm a biggest graphic design fan. And I think like people tend to like things you don't do. So I don't know anything about typefaces. I don't know anything about grid system. But I just loved aesthetics of graphic design. So my studio mate, who's also an illustrator, always laughs at me because you're an illustrator and you love graphic design way more than illustration. But I think it's good because if I get influence from illustration, that's like the friends and peers who are working in the industry, and I should not get influence from them. So my interest is to get influences from things that are outside of what I do. I guess it's just it's what I do. I don't have anything better to do in a way. So right now I don't carry around sketchbooks because I draw all the time. If I'm traveling somewhere, I'd rather not draw and just see what's around. But basically, even if I get paid or not, if you leave me alone, I guess the best thing I can do is to draw. I think ever since I knew what Illustrator was, because when I was in kindergarten, and kindergarten teacher asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I remember I said an artist. I mean, not necessarily illustrator. I think to realize that I should be an illustrator, that took a while, and I always wanted to be an artist. That I knew from the start. As a kid, I wanted to be a comic artist, which is kind of obvious from what you can see. But one day I realized, I did some comics actually, and then realized I do not think of stories in sequence. The comic artists, I have a lot of friends who are comic artists, and it's almost like they die if they don't draw comics. The stories come to them, the panels come to them, they just have to put that on the paper. And I know how difficult it is. And it's so much more work, you have to tell stories in sometimes 10 pages. I can even do 10 pages, but they do hundreds of pages, spending years and years for one story, and I don't think that way. I think in one panel, and the story finishes in that one panel. So what can I do? And I came up with the idea I should be an illustrator. I draw with ink and brush onto a watercolor paper, and I have a large scale scanner this big, but I still scan in 2 or 3 times and patch them together on Photoshop and then color it on Photoshop. But I have scanned in over the years so many different things. Usually I make textures by hand and scan in, and I have a folder called textures. And sometimes, oftentimes I reuse the textures I already created. And if I need something new, I create it and then put that part in the texture folder. So whenever I need it again, I can use it. And so with that and flat coloring, and I put them together on the Photoshop. Can design improve life? I hope so. I mean, it should be, right? It makes life richer. It's not a necessity. I know, like, it's a really difficult in United States right now because all of a sudden economy is really bad and it's affecting everyone. And for us designers, like, well, like in broad sense, I'm a designer too. Designers and artists can get hit hard because you don't need art and design to live, but you need bread and vegetables and meat to live. But you know, without them, like art's been around for like thousands, since the beginning of time. And so there must be the reason, and you know, like we might go through hard times for a while, but it will come back and it's always needed. And without it, it's kind of like you can live, but it's boring. That's a tough one. I guess it's part of my life, you know? Like, I hope it's going to be part of my life for as long as I live. I like illustration, but like, I like visual art in general. And if I might get bored if I did it for like 20 years, you know, like maybe I'll change my direction. Who knows? Like, it's nice to not know exactly what's going to happen in the future, but whatever happens, I would like to be in the art and design world. There's a design and illustration is a part of it, but I'm fascinated by everything else in this design universe, and I wish to, you know, learn it. And I don't know what I can do, but like it will be amazing to design concept for something sometime in the future. So